Hello, this is Paul De La Garza with High Performance Business Solutions, and welcome to Success Tips. Today we continue on the Mindset series. We're going to be covering the actions and behaviors that are a product of first your self-talk, then your self-esteem, and of course, all of that drives the things that you do, the action that you take, how you behave, and of course, ultimately that will generate results for you in your life and in your professional outlook. If you have not seen either the self-talk installment of the Mindset series or the self-esteem, I would like to ask you, like I've asked before, please stop this recording now and please review these two, because as you do this, it's going to make a great deal more sense for you to be able to really have the foundation of what the impact and the importance of self-talk and things that we say to ourselves, and what the impact that has upon our self-esteem and how we deal with self-esteem and how we can promote it. So please put this recording on hold and go and watch these two and then watch this, because then, like I mentioned, it's going to make a great deal more sense. You know, when you take action, it is extraordinary. Things that happen are just amazing. It moves energy. Actions with an emotional content, an emotional propellant, move energy. It's amazing what happens. You know what, Wolfgang van Gogh, and I'm sure that I'm mispronouncing the last name of this gentleman, he was a 19th century German philosopher. He basically had a poem that I have reduced to the following sentences. Once a decision is made with passion and conviction, Providence will make available resources unbeknownst to you to facilitate the desired end. Yet this has to be the product of a very strong sense of self-esteem. And that comes from a positive, constructive oriented series of self-talk that in self-assessments and affirmations that you create for yourself. One thing is clear, nothing will happen until such time that you go through these steps. You can have a great deal of motion and a great deal of action, but without that emotional quotient, without having the foundation of a strong, constructive self-talk and having the influence and the propellant of an extraordinarily strong self-esteem, your actions may be compromised. One important thing that I constantly remind clients and friends alike is that we are, in fact, the creators of our own reality. To a significant degree, life will act as a mirror from those actions and the things that you do. And to be perfectly candid with you, it will be commensurate to not only the actions, but those actions, as I mentioned before, are going to be a direct result of your mindset. Remember that in a previous installment of the Mindset series, I mentioned to you a saying that says, before a finger is lifted, the outcome of all endeavors is predetermined. Think about that for a moment, because that is probably one of the most important things that you can realize as you are taking action day to day, all of them stemming from your mindset. You know, in my studies and in my readings, I have come across the writings of St. Augustine, who was an extraordinary man in his own right. And he had two particular sayings that I absolutely love. One of them was that God will provide the wind, but I must raise my sails. I love that. The other one was, I'm going to pray as if everything depended on God, but I'm going to work as if everything depended on me. You know what? One of the negative forces that I think has impregnated and really affected us all is worry, which is really a fear-driven kind of emotion. And I often get asked, Paul, how do you recommend that we should deal with worry, with that fear, the fear of failing? What if I fail? What if I don't make enough money? What if I don't get that promotion? A number of things. And while I don't want to oversimplify the immensity of sometimes of these circumstances and frankly the seriousness of them, there is one thing that has consistently helped me to be able to deal with some of these challenges. And it's going to sound redundant, but it's action. You're worried about something? Stop. Start acting, start taking action in the areas that you know that you have to actually engage in. And somehow, because of that momentum that you build, you will begin to see that worry begin to fade away. It is important that as you do this, that you focus on one thing and one thing only, and that it's not on trying to complete this enormous task or trying to, how am I going to actually engage in so much activity that is going to feel overwhelming. The one advice that I would give you is focus on starting. Once you start, it is amazing how things begin to develop, and you really develop a sense of momentum and inertia that will take you mostly to the desired destination. One of the things that I come across very often is how people are trying to figure out all their moves from one without making a move, without engaging in the journey. Is what I call living through your sofa. Okay. In other words, you're trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen, all the steps. And the reality is that is not only practical, it's not probable, it's not possible. The reason being is because as you take steps, as you begin movement, the landscape of opportunity is going to change. This brings to mind an example, a metaphor that Jack Canfield, who's the co-author of that famous book that I would imagine you have heard of, if not read, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And Jack Canfield makes mention of the metaphor that says, when you sit in a car and you're about to go in a direction, okay, and it's in the evening, at night, you turn on the headlights, and those headlights will illuminate only about 20 or 30 feet, if that. However, when you put the car on drive, it's amazing how the landscape you first saw that was static begins to change. And as you begin to gently accelerate, you start seeing different people, different landscape, different circumstances, different situations. Well, to a significant degree, action is exactly the same way. You have to take action in order to be able to then begin to deal with the circumstances that, unless you took that action, you would never be able to predict or face. So pause for a moment and ask yourself a couple of things. Number one, at this point, where am I? Well, most likely you have, in fact, taken a very important step by beginning to actually alter and reevaluate your self-talk. You have begun reciting affirmations that are really going to consistently remind you of the things of which you are capable. This has inevitably made a positive impact on your self-esteem. You begin to really realize exactly the things of which you are capable without abandoning the fact that you are still a student in life. And that in of itself, that is very exciting. So you have those two things. Great foundations, well done. Now the next step is to take that action, to begin to bring those things that you have just decided to do, your self-talk and your enhanced self-esteem, and translate that into action that has the propellant of an emotional content. And what do I mean by that? Very simple. Emotional content is the passion that you have for achieving a particular endeavor, a particular objective, vital in order for you to be able to realize the results that you desire. The famed author Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote a number of books in terms of positive thinking and positive affirmations and wonderful living, actually wrote two very important sayings that I absolutely love. The first one is, action is not only the builder, but the restorer of confidence. And on the other side of that coin is, inaction is not only the result, but the cause of fear. So it is time to act. You are there. You have everything that you need. You know that you need to reaffirm your self-talk. You need to start building your self-esteem, because you know that within you lie the talents, the abilities, the skills for you to be able to achieve the things that you desire to achieve. So now it's time for action. You know, the best example of a story of a success story of action would be the famous author J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books. This is a woman that was a single mother who basically had seen almost bankruptcy in the face and was in the midst of despair when she started to write these books. She wrote for 5 consecutive years, and she consistently disciplined herself through commitments of daily action to continue to write. What was the result of this? 500 million copies sold in a number of languages throughout the world that have really brought young minds to a sense of excitement, and who, frankly, at this point, now is considered to be one of the best authors that has lived in modern times. So here are some action steps for you, part of the pun, for you to take in order to really activate this action-filled life on a daily basis. The first one is to set a vision board. Yes, we talked about that before, but frankly, that vision board is going to be a constant reminder, an anchor of the things that you want to achieve. Now, no more than 5 things in that vision board, and give it a timeline. Be specific, and get excited. Put only things that you know are going to be things that are going to be meaningful to you and that you would like to achieve within 1 year's time. Once you have done that, you need to really engage in the reaffirmation of your talents, of the affirmations that you want to achieve. You heard me say a lead a purposeful life in pursuit of the highest good for myself and for those who surround me. That's one of my favorite ones. The other one is I lead a life of abundance, financially, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. These are things that you have to do. But each of these things have to be based on a legitimate, authentic recognition of your belief in yourself, of your abilities. Very important that you do that. The next point, once you have identified these 5 things, it's time to act. As I mentioned to you before, a vital step is focus on starting. If you start looking at the enormity of the things that you want to accomplish, it's highly possible that you may not start at all. Don't focus on that. Focus on just simply igniting, pulling the trigger, seeing that momentum begin to evolve, and you will get there. The next step and the final step would be, and I'm giving you 4 steps this time, stay with it. Winston Churchill, in the midst of World War II, had a saying, actually 2 different words, but one of them he repeated 4 times. And the saying was, never, 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 never quit. Once you act, once you have passion, conviction of the things that you want to accomplish, one thing is clear, providence will move with you. Count on it. I personally have literally proven that in my life a number of times. But once you start, don't quit, because you will be submitted to distractions, and you will try to rationalize yourself into just simply taking the path of least resistance and doing the least amount possible. Don't do that. Keep on reminding yourself of the big picture of what it's going to be like when you get there, or keep on looking at that vision. I sincerely hope that these 3 steps are going to really help you, especially in these times that we have in this year of 2021, a year hopefully of recovery for all of us after the year of 2020 has been just enormously challenging. I challenge you to take these critical steps. The next time we're going to finalize the mindset series, and we're going to be talking about results. So take care, be well, act now, never, 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 never quit. Be well. Until soon.